And here to discuss is California GOP Chairwoman Jessica Patterson. Good to see you, Jessica. Thanks for being here. So what did you make of the debate? I mean, Newsom's performance, I have to say, he deflected a lot, didn't answer a lot of questions. He'd be like, oh, let me say this, a politician, and I'll get right to it. And he just didn't.
He really underperformed. I think a lot of people were going into the debate, expecting him to just absolutely be the salesman that he's been here in California. When you look at the record and you compare California and Florida, there really isn't a comparison when you look at the facts. But Gavin Newsom has been able to earn a second term as governor by that glimmer in his teeth and the sparkle in his eye, and by deflecting and being so shiny and smooth. And last night, when he had to be accountable for what has happened in his state, when you compared it to a state that is actually governed well, he had nowhere to go.
California did have a mass exodus. I mean, it's a fact. Newsom refuses to recognize it. I mean, he just would not. California is a beautiful state. Among other things, though, it's expensive. Hannity even brought up the taxes in the state, the gas prices. I mean, how does Newsom continue to defend this? I mean, these are literal facts.
Well, it's with lies. And I'll tell you, Stella, it's not that we did go through a mass exodus. We're still in the middle of that mass exodus. When 2020 came along and we had the reapportionment, it was the first time in our state's history where we lost a congressional seat. Where's a place that gained? Florida is a place that gained a congressional seat. In 2022 alone, 800,000 Californians left our state. You know how many Florida gained? 450,000 new Florida residents. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. And right now, if we continue down this same trajectory, we will lose an additional 5 congressional seats by the 2030 reapportionment. The affordability crisis is at the top of people's reasons for living. When you look at a median home here, $817,000 in California. In Florida, the median home price is $416,000. When Gavin Newsom talks about being the 5th largest economy, when only 15% of the people that live in your state can afford to buy a home, the 5th largest economy doesn't mean much to many.
Yeah, and Newsom is constantly defending California by calling it a freedom state. Let's listen to DeSantis talk about that, the freedom state, and then we'll talk about it.
California does have freedoms that some people don't, that other states don't. You have the freedom to defecate in public in California. You have the freedom to pitch a tent on Sunset Boulevard. You have the freedom to create a homeless encampment under a freeway and even light it on fire. You have the freedom to have an open-air drug market and use drugs. You have the freedom, if you're an illegal alien, to get all these taxpayer benefits. So those are freedoms. They're not the freedoms our founding fathers envisioned, but they have contributed to the destruction of the quality of life in California, and the results speak for themselves.
Jessica, I've lived in California literally nearly my entire life. I don't recognize this state.
It's a very, very different state than the one we grew up in. And what Governor DeSantis said there's no lie in anything that he said. The changes here are views of the mountains, the oceans, our beautiful valleys. Those have not changed. What has changed is the policies that Democrats in California that have been championed by this governor that has led to what has happened to our once beautiful and golden state.
Yeah, and also parental rights was another hot topic that they were talking about. And it's a hot topic for many parents in California. They're just sick and tired of what's happening, including, for example, minors in California schools. They have a right to privacy. Let's listen to this sound and then we'll talk.
It's also important to respect parental rights to know what curriculum is being used in the classroom, and everything should be age appropriate. I actually have something that I brought that some parents have objected to. So this is a book that's in some of the schools in California. In Florida, this is not consistent with our standards, called Gender Queer. Some of it's blacked out. You would not probably be able to put this on air. This is pornography. It's cartoons. It's aimed at children, and it's wrong. So this should not be in schools. When people on the left say that somehow you're banning books by removing this from a young kid's classroom, no, this is not age appropriate.
And I know so many parents in California who never thought about politics, never, until this.
The failures on our schools have been on so many different levels. We saw our schools being closed longer than any other state in the nation. Meanwhile, Gavin Newsom was sending his kids to in-person school. What are the results of those school closures? Less than 50% of our children are reading at grade level. Less than a third are performing at grade level when it comes to math and science. We're 50 out of 50 when it comes to literacy across the country. And you wonder why parents are so upset. We want to focus on the arithmetic and reading and literature and making sure that our kids are prepared to go out into the real world. And this is what is being focused on in so many of our public schools.
Yeah, Newsom wouldn't take ownership of that. DeSantis kept talking about it and saying that, the COVID lockdowns, it was all because of the teachers' unions. And look what's happened. Look what's happened to education, to the proficiency levels. But he wouldn't take any responsibility. Let's listen to that.
Gavin Newsom did huge damage to people in California. He ruined livelihoods. We reopened the state very quickly. We saved thousands of jobs. We saved hundreds of thousands of jobs, thousands of businesses. We had our kids in school. He had the kids locked out of school because of the teachers union. That is having a generational impact. California has one of the lowest literacy rates in the country.
I mean, we don't even know the long-term effects of what actually happened during the lockdowns. And as you heard DeSantis talk about the businesses as well, so many businesses shattered. People moved out. I mean, it's a disaster.
Absolutely. When we saw 20,000 businesses close permanently following what happened during the COVID-19 crisis, it was a very different story being told in Florida. Yet, if you'd heard from from our Governor Newsom, he would tell you that he handled everything so incredibly well, and he saved jobs and he saved lives. And it's just, the facts just don't bear out to say that.
I did get a laugh in when overall Newsom gave Biden an A and called his leadership a masterclass. Did you hear him say that?
It was an absolute joke. I mean, I understand he's got a job to do, right? He's out there, he's trying to be the team player for as long as he possibly can be until they have President Biden exit gracefully. I get he's got a job to do, but no one on this planet thinks that Joe Biden is deserving of an A grade for his leadership.
A masterclass. California GOP Chairwoman Jessica Patterson, thank you so much for being here.
Great to be with you, Stella.
Appreciate it.